They worked side by side with their families to plow fields, create communities, and defend their land. They have shaped successful companies, represented citizens in public office, excelled in sports and the arts, led movements to protect people in need. For more than 25 years, the Florida Commission on the Status of Women has focused on collaborating with and celebrating their work and successes. We work every day to recognize and support these efforts through programs that collaborate, educate, and celebrate women from across the state of Florida. Over the years, the Commission has reached out to women from the Panhandle to the Keys to better understand firsthand the needs and concerns affecting them and their communities. We have celebrated their achievements, learned alongside them, and made connections across county lines and city streets. There is tremendous work being done across all 67 counties to improve the lives of women, their families, and by extension, all Floridians. And it is our goal to provide a place for them to share resources that make their work easier. In doing so, we strive to be a resource for lawmakers, businesses, and residents so they have a better understanding of these important issues. By celebrating the accomplishments of citizens throughout our state, we present a more expansive vision of what we can do as individuals and thereby inspire others to think larger and bolder. The legacy of celebration continues in 2017 as we celebrate 35 years of the Florida Women's Hall of Fame. Created by the Florida Legislature and championed by the Commission, the Hall of Fame honors women who, throughout their lives and efforts, have made significant contributions to the improvement of life for women and for all citizens of Florida. These women represent the best of us. They have broken down barriers, created new opportunities, and been proponents for the greater good of all Floridians. The Florida Commission on the Status of Women, providing decades of service to improve the lives of all Floridians through collaboration, education, and celebration.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chair of the Florida Commission on the Status of Women, Patty Hamilton.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the 35th Annual Florida Women's Hall of Fame. Very exciting. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you here tonight. I am one of 22 women currently women. We have had men on the commission in the past, but we are all women at the moment. We are appointed by either one of the cabinet members, the governor, the attorney general, the CFO, the commissioner of agriculture, the Senate president, and the Speaker of the House. The last two I know are not cabinet members. It is really our goal, and you saw a little brief introduction to the commission, but our focus in everything we do is on collaborating, educating, and celebrating. And it's to reach across the 67 counties in the state of Florida that we truly understand are very different. They're rural, they're urban, the socioeconomic conditions are different in all areas of those 67 counties. And we really see ourselves as a clearinghouse with all of the great work that's being done with families and women and young women in our state. We, in the last couple of years, have done some really great projects, one of which, and this could be of interest to all of you, especially those of you in business, we've developed an online resource directory where at the moment we have over 400 organizations that represent all 67 counties that are doing tremendous work in those communities. We would never think that we can go out and solve those issues and help with those problems, but we do know that we can collaborate with those organizations to help them be effective, and that's really our goal. This partnership this year with the Chamber Foundation is one of collaboration. I would give credit for it to my dear friend Pam Rausch from Florida Power and Light. She and I were having breakfast one morning, and we got into this conversation about the Hall of Fame and the work of the commission, and she introduced us to the Florida Chamber Foundation and Tony Carvajal, and I poked my good friend Sid Kitson, who was the chairman of the Florida Chamber, and here we are today. So we are thrilled to have you with us. The commission in this celebration, we really do, we want to recognize the women that have come before us. They've broken barriers, they've created incredible opportunities, and really championed the greater good of all Floridians. And as we look to the future and have vision, which is what this conference is about, which we think is such a perfect marriage, we hope it will inspire others by the work they do, and certainly inspire the leaders of the future of Florida. We do have a lot of champions and people in the audience, and we are totally thrilled that we have CFO Petronas with us here tonight as a representative, as one of our appointing authorities. I hesitated to say this because we don't know each other well, but I will tell you now that you do have some pretty big shoes to fill as far as the Florida Commission is concerned, because CFO Atwater has been an unbelievable champion of the work that we have done at the Commission. And he's with us here tonight too, so I have both CFOs right here side by side, so it's really an awesome thing. This recognition of lifetime achievements of these wonderful Florida women wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, and Florida Power and Light is at the top of that list, with Burr & Foreman, the Florida Women's Funding Alliance, and the Historic Tours of America. Those four organizations not only sponsored and helped with our program tonight, but they also sponsor our legislative day, and we do educational programs. Another part of our mission is education. We hold a legislative day at the Capitol every March, and our goal is to help Floridians better understand the legislative project, and these organizations helped us with that event this year. They also have participated with our collaboration and partnership with the CFO's office. We have done financial education summits. We held our first one in Jupiter last spring, and we will continue to do that, because as we went around the state and spoke to women, the number one issues always went back to finances. And so that created our collaboration with the CFO's office under CFO Atwater, and we are certain that CFO Petronas will help continue that collaboration. And another very important collaboration and partnership for us this year came from my old career way back when, but we had great friends at Cadillac who came to the Chamber and helped participate with the Florida Futures Forum, and they are the presenting sponsor now of tonight's evening for the Florida Women's Hall of Fame. So, I want to thank all those sponsors. I want to thank the commissioners that are here this evening. Take 1 second and just kind of raise yourselves up so everyone knows who you are. They have name tags. They come from the Keys. They come from all reaches of our state, from the Keys to the Florida Panhandle. And without further ado, I will introduce, and it is my pleasure to introduce, and we truly appreciate your participation in presiding over awarding these really important and phenomenal awards, CFO Petronas. Some of you heard him today at lunch, and you know he is a native Floridian, and he was raised in Panama City. He served in the Florida House of Representatives, representing the Florida Panhandle. And he now serves the citizens in the state of Florida as our Chief Financial Officer, State Fire Marshal, and is a member of the Florida Cabinet. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CFO Petronas.
Okay, for starters, it's a complete honor to be here with you tonight. But I got to tell you something. I have got the best job in the state of Florida, bar none. but I have got the best job in the state of Florida because I walked into the best organization that any CFO could have walked into. So I'm going to ask y'all, because he has not heard this enough, in my opinion, since I realized what I've inherited, but I want to give a round of applause to Jeff Atwater. So I was on the reception just a little bit ago, and there was at a minimum 24 people that walked up and introduced themselves to me. And oh, Jeff this, oh, Jeff that, oh, Jeff this. And it's amazing. This is like the Jeff Atwater fan club in the room. And I got chills telling you this just because, you know, there's not many public servants in the state that have been so giving, so caring, so passionate about what's right to do in Florida and what's right to do on fellow Floridians as Jeff Atwater. And fantastic leader, and proud to have him here tonight with us. And I know I see some of my colleagues. I see my favorite roofer over here. Could the members of the legislature here tonight please stand up? Thank y'all. So there's a method in my madness. When you want to get things done, you need to know who your legislators are. So now that they've been targeted and marked, I hope you will take time to go and thank them for being here tonight. I had the honor to serve with these guys, and even though there's some really fantastic stories after a few libations, I might tell you about what Keith Perry has done to me in the past and practical jokes. But we truly have a fantastic Florida legislature. These folks work day in and day out at their real jobs. Some of the legislation that Senator Perry has championed has been very important to the industries that we regulate, and CFO Atwater has had a great effort of working collaboratively with these leaders to make our job easier for all of y'all. So as I wanted to at least address a little bit what's important to me, and that's what allows me to be here with you tonight, my wife, Katie. So it's cool. It's cool. I've got a great wingman in this life, and my wife, Katie. We've got 2 little boys, and if there was a way I could show you my son Johnny. How close does that camera get? Does that camera get close? My son Johnny, we're in the governor's office getting sworn in, and there was a real touching moment where the Chief Justice asked me to raise my hand and put my hand on the Bible and be sworn in, and real exciting. It was really more exciting getting sworn at State Fire Marshal, actually, but I'm gonna. There's a picture I am just dying to show y'all. How close can you get to me? But here, I'm looking. Can anybody see this? Does that make sense? All right. So there I am with my hand up, and the Chief Justice telling you raise your hand, put your hand on the Bible, and start saying those. Now look down here. Here's my little 6-year-old. He's got his hand up too. And so my wife and I, my attitude was, if this is going to be a fantastic opportunity I have to serve all of you in Tallahassee and serve the state, it's going to be a life experience for them. So my boys have been my wingmen. We try to make as many trips as we can together. But the storms that we went through wasn't really child appropriate, some of the challenges that the state is going through. But I appreciate their patience and allow me to achieve it. So I've got this fantastic wife. She helps me raise our boys. She's a realtor. Her and her mother have a real estate office in Panama City. And she's also on the Board of Trustees of Gulf Coast State College. Anyway, it's tough. It's tough. Because as soon as I leave here, we're leaving, okay? We're driving back to Panama City tonight. And then I've got my mom. My mom, Helen, she's 81 years old. She came to the United States in 1946. She was 11 when she first met her dad. My grandfather was in the United States. The war broke out. She was on the island of Patmos. If any of y'all, it's a good trivia question. Why is the island of Patmos significant? Book of Revelation. John wrote the book of Revelation on the island of Patmos. And so Mom raised us. And anyway, it's so neat to be a part of an event like this where we're going to do something right for the women that make our lives to go round. You know what I mean? So I never thought that I would be here to be able to share such a special evening to honor, women that make a difference, that really give a darn and want to ensure that their contributions, and we're doing what we need to make sure their contributions are not forgotten, and that we continue to honor their legacy and ensure that their deeds and their sacrifices go on and are inspirations to future women leaders. So, Patty, I appreciate the introduction. I think we're ready to go ahead and make some honorees announced here and enjoy the rest of this presentation. Patty.
Thank you. Stay right
Sorry.
there. Don't know, you're great. Stay right there. Thank you very much, and we're going to move this right along. So I want to introduce to you, to complete our program this evening, our 2017 Florida Women's Hall of Fame co-chairs, the event co-chairs. I'm really pleased to announce my two dear friends, Cindy Hartley Ross from Lakeland and Janine Hawkins McKinnon from Winter Park.
Gotcha. Turn on me. Gotcha.
And I think I'm up.
You are.
Yes, okay. CFO Petronas, thank you so much for sharing about the women in your life with such a heart. Thank you. Good evening. The Florida Women's Hall of Fame has been a priority of the Commission for 35 years. We cherish our ability to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of the women in our state and to permanently preserve their stories for future generations in the Capitol Rotunda. We invite you to visit and learn more about these extraordinary Floridians at our state capitol or on our website. Each year, the Commission selects 10 nominees from a long list of highly accomplished women in our state. The 10 nominees are forwarded to our governor and considered for induction. With each nomination we read, we are reminded women are leaders in every sector of society, from business to medicine, from education to child advocacy. Their contributions to our state and nation have impacted thousands of others, and their legacies will live on for generations yet to come. In recognition of this exemplary historic award, each of the inductees has been recognized by their member of the United States House of Representatives with a congratulatory letter, a certificate, and will be presented with a United States flag that was flown over the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. in their honor. Congressman Charlie Crist flew a flag in honor of Mary Lou Baker. Congressman Bill Posey flew a flag in honor of Kathleen Scotty Colt. And Congressman Carlos Curbelo flew a flag in honor of Catherine Fernandez Rundle. It is now my pleasure to share with you a brief glimpse into the lives and achievements of the three trailblazers we honor here tonight. Commissioner Marucci Azarine is escorting Dr. Lee Matthews, the son of our first 2017 Women's Hall of Fame inductee, Mary Lou Baker.
Mary Lou Baker, Pinellas County, was a human rights and legislative pioneer for the state of Florida. She was an attorney and second woman to ever hold office in the Florida House of Representatives. During a time when our country was at war, Mary Lou fought on the home front in the halls of the Capitol. Serving 2 terms in the Florida legislature, Mary Lou supported and championed key bills that created a co-ed state college and was a pioneering voice for a woman's right to sit on a jury that was later legalized through the courts. Her most notable accomplishment was the passage of the press-named Women's Emancipation Bill, Forged as an idea in an essay as a law student, this law later became the Married Women's Rights Bill that gave married women the legal rights to carry on their families' businesses when their husbands went away to war. Because of Mary Lou's tireless perseverance and savvy, Florida women now have the right to convey property, execute legal documents, and file a suit, among many others. The Florida Law Journal summarized Mary Lou's career saying, "To Mary Lou Baker, the lady from Pinellas must be given credit for accomplishing the most historic change which has occurred in the basic law of the state of Florida in the past generation. Mary Lou Baker, working for the greater good of Florida."
The legacy of Mary Lou Baker's leadership and service to the state of Florida, as can be seen across this room by her standing ovation and the accomplishments of all women. Dr. Matthews, we could see this about your love of your mother and that she had you and held you and spoke about creating the opportunity that you attended a co-ed college. It is with great pride that I induct Mary Lou Baker into the 2017 Florida Women's Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Florida Women's Hall of Fame commissioners and Florida Governor Rick Scott. I'm going to take a little longer to give you my comments, as Scotty Culp's son, Ron, is a Marine. There are no such things as retired Marines or ex-Marines, and their unofficial motto is to adapt and overcome, so I'm going to steal some of your time. You honor Mary Lou Baker, my mother, this evening, not only for her legislative deeds, but for all of her examples in life, her dual names, multiple roles, positive personality characteristics, her determination, and her dedication to other people. One example, her belief that all things are possible with hard work. A representative once said that Mary Lou Baker does not eat cantaloupe because it has the word can't in it. Her belief in the people of Pinellas County and in the state, she said, "Your overflowing willingness to sacrifice and your warm-hearted volunteer service help me. I have seen and heard this on TV, these values demonstrated in Florida's citizens recently following Hurricane Irma, and believe that Mary Lou's assessment of the resiliency of Florida's citizens will go forward during your recovery." Mother's use of Baker has had an enduring impact on many women, professional names, and on my life. Mother died in May of 1965. My Uncle Bob, Robert W. Baker, died in December of that year. Between these two events, Janet and I got married in Pennsylvania. When we went to get their license, we both got asked by the clerk for our mother's maiden names. I responded Baker. Janet responded Baker. Thankfully, Janet's mother was there to explain we were probably related in the 18th century. Oh, by the way, the minister's name was Baker. Anybody got an idea what the organist's name was? Baker, yes. Two quick disclaimers. I am not the first Dr. Matthews in the family. That honor goes to my wife, Janet R. Matthews, PhD. In fact, she got her bachelor's at the University of Tampa, a coeducational school where my mother wanted me to go. And my wife of 52 years. In fact, she got her bachelor's, master's, and PhD before I did. I could give you 13, by the way, that's a baker's dozen, professional reasons why she's the first Dr. Matthews, but I will spare myself the humiliation. Secondly, I was known until at least high school, in Clearwater at least, as the Baker Boy, Lee Boy, named after my grandfather, Mary Lou's father, or Little Lee. However, I must tell you, I am the black sheep of the Baker clan. I am the non-attorney. I'm a clinical psychologist. Mother, Mary Lou, my grandfather, Leo Baker, and my Uncle Bob were all attorneys. However, given all of these shortcomings, I am pleased to accept this honor for my mother, Mary Lou Baker, as member of the Florida Women's Hall of Fame. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Commissioner Rita Barreto is escorting Ron Culp, the son of our next inductee. She was known as the First Lady of Satellite Beach, Kathleen Scotty Culp.
Kathleen Scotty Culp of Satellite Beach, Florida, was a community leader, lifelong volunteer, and patriotic servicewoman. Responding to the call to serve after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, Scotty enlisted in the U.S. Navy as one of the first women accepted for volunteer emergency service. Although female parachute riggers were not allowed to jump like their male counterparts, through sheer determination, Scotty conducted a 2,000-foot free-fall jump from an R-4D, becoming the first wave service member and rigger in the U.S. Navy to do so. Her perseverance continued in her role as First Lady of Satellite Beach, where she was instrumental in the establishment of the city. She deeply loved the community she'd helped to build and continued to support its growth for more than 50 years in roles spanning from an elementary school crossing guard to an Olympic torchbearer. Her innovative ideas sparked the creation of recycling programs, school mentorship, and the creation of the 21-day flag salute to honor the country she loved and served. Kathleen Scotty Culp, forever a woman of service.
Scotty Culp not only set the example for others to follow, she was a tireless and driven for doing the right thing and making Satellite Beach a better place for all. Not one to mince words, she lived by the golden rule, and she believed that a person's character is the measure of their actions, not by their words. Ron, your mom was a true patriot, and we know that you're so proud of her and all of her accomplishments. It is my honor to induct Kathleen Scotty Culp into the 2017 Florida Women's Hall of Fame.
Well, isn't this a fun night? This has been amazing. First, I'll say, Kim, thank you very much for seating us with Lee and Janet. What a privilege, and got a chance to actually talk to a psychologist for the first time. It was a wonderful experience, that's for sure. We always worry when we get out of the Marine Corps that we need to talk to somebody about, our experience, and it worked out nice tonight, that's for sure. But I'll tell you what an honor it is. I think everybody will say that. What an honor it is to be here tonight to enjoy the celebration of these women that are being inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I'm glad to do this on behalf of my mom, Scotty Culp. Personally, I want to say thanks to Governor Scott. He chose 3 champions, and the commissioners that are part of the board. I got to meet, I think, most of you tonight. Some of you really stand out beyond belief. I personally have to thank Kim and Jessica, without a doubt, for everything they've done. Such a pleasure talking to them, working with them throughout this process to get everything going. Cindy has been just a delight to chat with. And oh, there you go, right over there. And would love to meet your husband. That's got to be a trip. And also, informally, I'll say, Jeff and Jimmy, what a pleasure. Thank you very much for being here tonight. This is such an honor to have you with us, too. Commissioner Tabaya, I think I said it right this time, maybe not, but he's the one that recommended my mom for the Hall of Fame, and I thank him, too. He was doing other things tonight. And Jessica, what a great video, what a great job with the photographs, all the different things. Thank you so very much. Irma affected all of us and made it very hard to do a lot of things we'd like to do, but that was so beautiful, and thank you very much for that. Okay, so with me tonight, I have 4 very important guests that join me tonight, and I'd like to introduce them. You don't have to stand, by the way. And they are, first, my 2 daughters, Rachel and Emily. Rachel Kathleen is named after Grandma Scotty, and Emily Elizabeth is named after, yeah, it's not supposed to happen like that, is named after Grandma Betty, and I'm so glad you guys could make it. With them, joining them tonight is their mom, Judy, who was absolutely wonderful with my mom. My mom loved her so much, just like a daughter, and thank you for everything you did. You guys don't have to clap after everything I say. I mean, it's going to get better. There's going to be a lot better things here. But, and also, my good friend Pete Gilbert. Pete is a retired law enforcement officer, and he and I grew up in the same street, 3 houses down. I think we were 10 years old, maybe younger, when we first met. We have a third in our group of the Three Amigo clan that still today get together, do things, and get along wonderfully, go shoot guns together. It's amazing. But Pete, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm glad all of you are here tonight. So let me tell you a few things about Scotty. Scotty Culp was an amazing special lady. Her countless accomplishments were the result of hard work from a dedicated volunteer. And that's kind of interesting when we talk about that, a volunteer. Everything she did it on her own time, no pay, because she loved the city she grew up in, or she loved the city she lived in, she loved the people, and that grew to a county, to a state. She was really amazing, the amount of time she volunteered helping others. But what's really interesting was, and we would probably all love to have this, but she was blessed with a tireless work ethic. Early bed, early rise, a glass of wine before dinner, and she was nonstop all day. She had unquestionable moral character and courage when she made decisions. It was never about herself, it was about what was best for others and for her community, which is hard to find these days. And every day, which was really amazing, was she woke up every day with a smile in her heart, which, again, very hard to find. Very hard to find people that every single day are not only smiling, but in a wonderful mood and make everybody else feel better about what they're doing. She lived a life of service before self. And we talk about that a lot, but when you meet somebody that really does it, you got to take a step back and realize how important that is for somebody to do that. She had set an example in everything she did for others to follow. And the other thing that was so important was she never spoke ill about anybody. If again, as an outspoken Marine, I had a lot of feelings about a lot of things, and you would hear what I think very quickly, and some of you have tonight. But with my mom, she always found the good in people. And when she'd meet those people, she had a way of making those people come around and be better people and do the right thing, which is a wonderful characteristic. I'm sure many of you in business would love to see a resume like that come before you for somebody to hire. because they would be your champion. And when I found out about my mom's, I didn't know about her history in the Navy and the things she had done as the first jumper and the first woman to do some of the things she did. It was just amazing to hear her story and to think, good God, Mom, you could have been telling General or Admiral Nimitz what to do because she was that strong. She would have been the person in charge of the Navy and telling them the way they should have really been doing things. And it would have been a better Navy, that's for sure. So she was definitely a loving, attentive mom, a wonderful grandmother, a very humble, selfless lady. Truly one of a kind person, that's for sure. So finally, I will say, and this is from a quote from President Ronald Reagan, and I think it's fitting for tonight and what we're honoring here tonight with the ladies we're talking about. Some people live an entire lifetime and wonder if they've made a difference in the world. Mrs. Baker, Mrs. Rundle, who we're going to hear from very soon, and certainly Scotty Culp, don't have to wonder, because they made a huge difference. Thank you very much.
Oh, whoa.
I'd love to add so much to that because there are so many exceptional women who have been inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame in the state of Florida. And tonight, as we said, we're inducting our 100th. Our 100th, it is just a number, but that's where we are today. And our 100th inductee is no greater than the 98th or the 99th. But we are celebrating our 100th tonight. So with that, yes. Back to the script. For a milestone in the history of the Women's Hall of Fame, our final 2017 and 100th Florida Women's Hall of Fame inductee will be escorted by Commissioner Elena Spotswood from the Keys, please welcome the Honorable Catherine Fernandez Rundle.
Served as Miami-Dade County and Florida's first Cuban-American state attorney. Continuing in the legacy of her father, Miami's first Hispanic judge and a founder of the Cuban-American Bar Association, Catherine is known across the state as a prosecutorial innovator for her work in human trafficking, domestic violence, child support, and crime prevention. Her approach to bringing resources and organizations together to create holistic change to the Miami-Dade community is evidenced by the nationally recognized units, task forces, and programs she has championed. These include Florida's first domestic violence unit, a groundbreaking second chance community outreach program, and a pioneering human trafficking task force that arrests predators and rehabilitates victimized children. Because of her tireless efforts, enthusiasm, and community spirit, children and families across the state of Florida are better protected and safer in their own communities and homes. Catherine Fernandez Rundle, a passionate public servant for all of Florida.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, and I want to congratulate my good friend, State Attorney Kathy Fernandez Rundle, for being inducted into the Florida Women's Hall of Fame. What an honor. Kathy is a trailblazer in our Florida legal community and an example for so many young women. As the first Cuban-American state attorney in Florida, Kathy has demonstrated that breaking barriers is something that can and must be done. But she hasn't stopped there. Kathy has been a leader on the issues of child welfare, juvenile justice, and helping create Miami-Dade's drug court, which emphasizes treatment. Additionally, she worked with my husband, Dexter, during his time as U.S. Attorney to fight crime in South Florida. Kathy has demonstrated time and again that our state is better for her tireless leadership. I'm honored to call Kathy a friend and once again congratulate this fellow University of Miami Hurricane for her induction into the Florida Women's Hall of Fame. Felicidades, amiga.
That's beautiful.
The special message from Congrwoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen is extra special, as she is also a member of this esteemed group. Kathy Fernandez-Rundle is, in addition to all of the accolades you've heard this evening, her focus of unique initiatives in the justice system makes you worthy of this esteemed award. It is my honor, and thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
It is my honor to induct you, Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, into the 2017 Florida Women's Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Thank you so much, CFO Jim Patronis. I'm just so delighted to finally meet you. I'm told we're going to have a meeting very soon. No, I am, and I look forward to it. And I'm so happy to see Jeff Otwater here. Jeff, when he was CFO, did incredibly creative things with our office. We miss you, but we wish you Godspeed in your new position, and we know that CFO Patronis is going to carry on your legacy. Congratulations. And I definitely want to thank Governor Scott, because he has always been so supportive of me professionally and of our office. And I always thank him publicly for appointing our lawyers as judges. So of course I've got to make sure that he recognizes that I thank him always publicly. I'm sorry he's not here this evening, but he and I were at a number of different press conferences over the last several weeks with Hurricane Irma. And I was able to thank him personally for what he has done, but of course I want to thank him publicly. And wow, to the Florida Commission on the Status of Women, you are amazing. I thank you, right? You really are. From Kim and Kelly to Patty, the chairwoman, to all the different commissioners, many of whom I didn't even know I knew, thank you. Because you're always out there raising up women, girls, and their families. You're always identifying the issues that are important to women. So I thank you so much, not just for recognizing me. Really 100, am I that old? But anyway, no. But you know, for recognizing women always, and the work that you do and the service that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ron, and the non-attorney Baker. That was my son's line. He said, call him the non-attorney Baker. You know, I have sons, and I feel blessed, and one of them is here with me tonight, to have the example of how you have honored your mothers and how you spoke of them this evening, and the tenderness and the respect and admiration that you expressed with your family members was very, very touching to me, but to so many of us here, because we're women. And it's so nice to see our children, especially our sons, say those things and recognize them. So thank you so much, and congratulations to both of you and your families. I feel so blessed to be included with this group of women, all of them. And to be current, I call them Wonder Women. Have you seen the movie Wonder Woman? Isn't that great? We should use that as a theme song maybe, but I was just so amazed by what that one woman represents in a film. But I know what women every day represent. 54% of my office, my lawyers, are women lawyers. And they are amazing, and they're raising families, and they're meeting the challenges of work life and everything else that comes in this very complicated world. I feel very honored to be joining so many other marvelous women. I pulled some of the research for tonight, and I pulled some of the names, and I was blown away by these incredible women, starting with my friend and my mentor, Attorney General Janet Reno of the United States of America, right? Come on, she was amazing. And my good friends, Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen and Judge Rosemary Barquette, who's a dear friend of Justin's and I. And I just had dinner with her last week. And of course, Supreme Court Justice Peggy Quince, who was at the Attorney General's office when I was a young lawyer. Next week, Gloria Estefan is launching her debut of her Broadway musical, which I saw in New York. And I will be there for her. I mean, my gosh, to be with Gloria Estefan, imagínate. And then you have female Speaker of the House, Gwen Margolis, who was at my home about a couple of months ago for an event that I was hosting for one of your other awardees, Sister Jean, president of the Barry University, right? So, guys think they have this networking down on the golf course. We women have it down too, right? Yes. The one thing, and when I was looking at these women and reading through their biographies, I knew for sure not one of them ever started out doing what they did for public admiration or for public awards and rewards. They did it because deep in their hearts, they knew what they were doing was the right thing. And doing the right thing happened to have an incredible impact on the lives of so many. And so when I look at these women, I not only think about what they did collectively for all of us and paving the way for us, but what they actually did for me as a little girl or a younger woman. They'd kill me if I said I was a little girl when they were my mentor. But just what they did and the obstacles and the barriers that they overcame, we call it glass ceilings, but they were big barriers. I think about Janet Reno. She graduated from Harvard Law School in 1963. She was the only woman. That was when a law career for a woman was unwomanly, it was unfeminine. When she applied to a law firm, by the way, very similar to Justice Day O'Connor, she went to apply for a job in a local law firm. I like the law firm, they're my friends in Miami. And they said, well, we really don't hire women as lawyers. We hire them as secretaries. Are you interested? Janet said no. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor said yes, and took a little spot somewhere in the hallway. But if you think about it, I mean, even by the time I went to law school, there were 5 women in my graduating class. Today, gladly, heroically, fabulously, 54% of all law students are women. And I think about the irony of that Miss Reno went on to become the first female Attorney General of the United States of America and the longest serving in modern history. And so when we look at these women around us, I feel privileged. I feel very humbled. Truly, I feel really humbled. I will promise you this. This honor is so meaningful to me. I will continue to live up to it. I will continue to be the strong advocate that I've always felt I've been and want to be for the voiceless, for the vulnerable, for the victims of crime, for women, for children. And I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart that when I was a young girl, walking up and down the halls, Janet sent me, Miss Reno, I was her chief assistant, and she said, I want you to go to Tallahassee and fight for us. And so I would walk up and down the hallways, and there was the rotunda, and then there was on either side, and on your side, Jeff Ottroeder, and the Attorney General's side, there was this wall, and it had like 8 photographs on it. It shows you how old I am. I probably shouldn't tell you that. But I would look at those women on the wall, and I go, wow. And then I watched the wall grow, and I'd see all of their faces, and I knew who they were, and many of them were my friends, they were my role models, they were my mentors. I go, oh my God, one day I really want to be on that wall. I want to have made a difference, that somehow I could get my little photograph on that wall. And so I tell you from the bottom of my heart, this isn't just an award for me. It is a very meaningful validation of many years of hard work. I want to thank my son, Justin. You have always been there for me. I love you deeply. I admire and respect you immensely. And Bianca, my sister, I love you. Thank you for always being there. Whether Hurricane Irma threw away my house or whatever, you're always there. And I want to thank my partner. He's on a plane. He was in Puerto Rico today on a mission, taking supplies to Puerto Rico. He couldn't get a flight back, but we love him. He's amazing. David Efron, thank you. I love you. Thank you all so much. God bless.
Well, this has been a memorable evening. We are so pleased that you joined us and that we were able to join the Chamber in this great outreach and a big step forward for the Hall of Fame. We also want to thank CFO Petronas for the very special touch that he added to this with his charm and his thoughtfulness in recognizing the significance of what's gone on tonight. As members of the commission, one of the things that we do that I love the most is we receive the nominations for the women who are considered for membership in the Hall of Fame. And we get to read about the lives of some of the most amazing people. And it really helps you understand what's possible. What's possible when you allow yourself to be driven by the passion that you have, to be driven by the patriotism that you possess, the things that can really be accomplished not only for yourself, your family, your community, and in this case, achievements that are significant for the state itself. And so we invite each of you here tonight to become part of this process. This is an open process. Anyone can nominate a woman to be considered for induction in the Hall of Fame. And so I would suggest, or we would request, that each of you kind of make a commitment to begin thinking about someone who's been in your life, someone who's been in your family, someone who's been in your community that we should know about and that we should be able to come to know in this very special way. So will you do that for us? Will you do that and see if you can get us some names and let this go? We also want to thank the governor. We choose 10, he chooses 3. It's a big decision, and we appreciate the time and the effort that he dedicates to this. So, to our inductees, Mary Lou Baker, Kathleen Scotty Culp, and Catherine Fernandez Rundell, congratulations. Congratulations on a life well lived. Congratulations on making choices, not always the easy choices, but the choices that come before you, and therefore helping to shape the future. Let's see. What else did I forget? Am I good? Is that good? Okay. We have a very strict boss here, and I don't want to leave the podium without a seal of approval here. But I would tell you this, that this opportunity to work with the Chamber has been amazing. We have totally enjoyed it. We have really valued this, and we hope to move this forward from tonight. And so, as we close out the night, please welcome Executive Vice President of the Florida Chamber Foundation, Tony Carvajal.
Thank you, Commissioner McKinnon, and I know how important this event is because, if I'm not mistaken, are you the daughter of one of the inductees, for Congresswoman Paula Hawkins, which many of us know and love. Thank you to everyone who was a part of the evening. CFO Petronas, what a great start. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Members of the legislature who joined us this evening, but I particularly want to give a nod of thanks To the Florida Commission on the Status of Women, Chair Patty Hamilton, Director Skiva, thank you for taking the risk and joining us with here. I think we've shared a story that will last and hopefully will continue to do this in the future. To the inductees and their families and their friends, we thank you for sharing your stories and your family. The future of Florida was created to celebrate leaders just like you, just like your parents, who aren't afraid to fight for the future, though that may seem far away for many. We are honored that you chose the Future of Florida Forum to celebrate your 100th inductee, however young she may be. Thank you so much for doing, and to celebrate your 35th year. Today we have spent a whole day talking and discussing about the future of Florida and whether Florida is ready or not for 2030. I think with the leadership that you all have inspired us, you have certainly brought us here, and hopefully we are ready to move forward into 2030 together. Tomorrow the conversations continue. Please join us in the morning in this room, beginning at 7:15 for breakfast, where we will discuss talent from cradle to career and continue the conversations about how to secure Florida's future. We'll kick off the morning with Florida's Commissioner of Education, Pam Stewart. For each of you that joined us tonight, whether live or over the TVs and on the internet, for each of you across the state that inspire the next generation of leaders, women and men, girls and boys, thank you and good night.